Well, love yourself inside and out. That's what we try to teach our kids. But research shows that an alarming 95% of girls 16 to 21 want to change their bodies in some way. And eating disorders among boys are on the rise. So joining us today to talk about how we can help our children form a healthy body image right from the start is Dr. Robyn Silverman. She's a child and adolescent specialist and the author of a really great book, Good Girls Don't Get Fat: How Weight Obsession is Messing Up Our Girls and How We Can Help Them Thrive Despite It. Thank you so much for being here. A really important topic. I think especially as kids get back to school and are obsessing about what they're wearing and who gained weight over the summer and who's lost weight over the summer and all of that.
Right.
And we tend to associate it with, at least I do, with kind of 7th grade up. But you make the important point that this fat is bad message starts a lot earlier.
That's right.
How early?
No, it does. It starts very early. There are studies that are already showing that children in preschool and kindergarten are already realizing the fat is bad message. There is a study that came out of the University of Central Florida that tells us that of the 3 to 6-year-olds that they looked at, half of them worried about fat.
Oh, wow. I mean, when I first heard fat is bad, I thought, well, it's good for kids to learn they shouldn't eat much fat, but you're talking about, a body image that may be just a little bit plump. Kids can get teased. They really become worried about it in an age that's just not appropriate.
It doesn't matter what their weight is. Children are detecting this message whether they're on the very, very thin side or when they're a little bit heavier. It doesn't matter about what weight they are. They just believe, I am gaining weight and therefore I am getting fat.
Yeah, and the positive images and the positive messages that we send, obviously mothers play a very important role.
That's right. Mothers probably play the most profound role in shaping children's body image. It's what they say and what they do. So what they say might be direct or indirect. If they say something like, you don't look good in that outfit, you're looking a little fat, it's too tight, or indirect, I don't feel good, I feel fat, or even a compliment, I wish I had your tummy, I wish I had her legs, and then in what they do. So I have a lot of women who say to me, I don't say anything about weight to my daughter, but they are the same people who are weighing themselves every day. They're the same people that are looking in their mirror and grabbing their thighs and saying, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have eaten X, Y, and Z. So it's what you do, what you say, it's going to speak volumes.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Sometimes we're so unaware of it, and being made aware of it is so critical as the first step. But what about dads? I mean, I think that, a lot of people think, well, this is only an issue between mothers and primarily daughters. But clearly, I certainly remember when my father would say something nice about my appearance or say, oh boy, you have a little belly there, I still remember it.
Of course, we remember every instance, whether they said something positive or negative. A lot of people think that only mothers have a profound impact on our body image, but actually fathers really develop our sense of self when it comes to how are men looking at me, how do boys look at me. So whether they're joking about your weight, whether they're saying little things like, hey little chunky monkey, or they call you little piggy. You'll see in my book I devote an entire chapter to fathers because they may be controlling about their weight, or they might say absolutely nothing, which actually can say just as much. If they are in a room and the women are starting to talk about fat, or I don't feel good, or oh my goodness, look what she was wearing, if they don't step up and say, you know what, all that stuff is garbage, don't believe any of it, men don't think this way, then you're missing an opportunity. Right.
Well, let's talk about those opportunities. What are some of the ways that mothers and fathers can help? You mentioned one that's really important, which is to start with your own behavior. And what are some of the messages you're sending, either directly or indirectly? But you also talk about something in your book called a fat talk free zone.
That's
and I really love that. What do you mean by that?
Well, we can't control what the neighbor says. We can't control what the peers are saying down the street, and we can't say, look, you can't put this in the magazine. We can say it, but we might not make any impact. But what we can control is what happens in our house. So if your children are talking about fat, if your wife, if your husband are talking in that way that is demeaning to certain women of different sizes, you gotta just stop it. It's time to declare this a fat talk free zone. Actually, in October, there there's Fat Talk Free Week. That's a perfect opportunity to say enough is enough. Let's start right now.
I mean, and even saying we're going to do that, and suddenly making kids, older kids in particular, aware of how much they do it, I think is a wonderful piece of advice.
That's right.
You also talk about promoting a broad definition of beauty, and I think that includes really complimenting children on a lot of the other things that make them beautiful.
Absolutely.
Their confidence.
Absolutely. That internal beauty, what are their assets? I talk about that a lot in the book. But also exposing them to all different types of women, seeing the beauty in all different sized women. Because when we do that, then girls are able to see that wider definition of beauty. Right now it's so narrow that practically nobody can fit into it. We need to widen it up so that girls can say, you know what, I fit there. I am beautiful.
Yeah, that's really great. You talk about teaching media literacy and paying attention to that. And then I just want to end on this about taking a stand. And you mentioned sort of in passing, complaining if you see something. I think it's very important to advocate, to really make changes, because, as you say, we have a long way to go in our society.
We do. We need to say, when we see something, we see a billboard, we see a CEO of a company has made a bad decision about an advertisement, if your neighbor has said something like, oh, your daughter's looking a little fat there, it's time to say something, to say, you know what, I don't tolerate that, and we don't believe in that. This is the time to show your daughter that you're just going to walk that talk, right? You're going to move forward.
Great place to end. Really wonderful advice. Thank you so much,
My
Dr.
pleasure.
Robyn Silverman, for joining us. If you want more information on this topic, you can check out Robyn's website, Dr. Robyn with a Y, Silverman.com.